The first time I saw her, she was standing in the ruins of a shattered space station, wrapped in the haze of sparks and leaking oxygen. She wore a mask, sleek silver and carved with runes that shimmered faintly in the dark. Her eyes, though, were visible through the visor, a glowing amethyst hue that followed me as if they had always known me. I was a salvage pilot, scraping a living on the fringe of the Andrus Belt. My ship, the Peregrine, wasn't much, rust on the outside, rattling bones on the inside, but she kept me alive. That day, when I boarded the station to look for parts and supplies, I didn't expect to find a survivor, much less someone like her. "Human," she said through the voice filter of her mask, her tone sharp, regal. "Why are you here?" I hesitated, pointing to the crates of tech scattered around. "Looking for salvage. Didn't think anyone was still alive." She tilted her head, studying me. Even with the mask, she radiated something that was unmistakable: authority, command, and something deeper I couldn't place. She carried herself like someone who had never begged or bent. "I am alive," she said simply, "and I am not meant to be found." At the time, I didn't know who she was. Only later would I learn the truth, that she was Princess Leora, heir to the fallen throne of the Xeyari Dominion, a dynasty thought destroyed in the last interstellar war. A living remnant of a people hunted to extinction. But in that moment, she was just a stranger in a mask, and I had a choice: walk away with my crates or bring her aboard my ship. Against all the instincts of a man who had survived by minding his own business, I said, "Come with me. It's not safe here." Her eyes lingered on me for a long moment before she nodded. And just like that, my quiet life ended. Middle. The weeks that followed turned my world upside down. She stayed aboard the Peregrine, though always masked. She never removed it in my presence, not even when eating. Instead, she sealed herself in the medbay or her quarters. I began to wonder if the mask wasn't just protection but part of her, an extension of who she was. But what she couldn't hide was her mind. Leora spoke of the stars as if they were old friends. She knew histories I had only heard in scraps: wars, treaties, betrayals spanning centuries. She told me of the Xeyari people, their shimmering crystal cities, their voices that carried harmonics humans could not reproduce. She described a world where gravity bent in strange ways, where colors humans could not perceive painted the skies. "You speak as if it's still there," I once said, unable to stop myself. Her eyes behind the mask dimmed. "It is gone. But in memory it lives. In me it lives." I realized then that she wasn't just hiding. She was carrying an entire civilization on her shoulders. Despite her coldness, a bond grew between us. It was subtle: shared meals, quiet hours in the cockpit, arguments over star maps, laughter at my clumsy attempts to pronounce her language. She was sharp, proud, sometimes infuriating, but when she laughed, stars, it felt like the galaxy cracked open. And somewhere along the way, I began to feel something more. But there was always the mask. One night, after weeks of unspoken tension, I finally asked, "Why the mask, Leora? What are you hiding from me?" She went silent. Her glowing eyes studied me, then looked away. "If you saw me," she said softly, "you might not see me the same way again." "Try me," I replied, but she only shook her head and left. The question gnawed at me. What could she fear? She was royalty, a survivor, a woman who had seen more than I ever could. Yet she was afraid of me. It wasn't until the day the bounty hunters came that I understood. They found us near the Aran cluster, 3 ships, fast and armed to the teeth. Somehow word had gotten out. The Xeyari princess lived, and her capture was worth more credits than I could imagine. We fought like hell. I pushed the Peregrine beyond her limits, skimming asteroid fields, diving through plasma storms. Leora sat beside me, issuing commands with a calm I couldn't match. But their weapons tore into us, and soon we were cornered. "They want me," Leora said quietly. "If I give myself up, they will let you go." "No," I snapped. "Not happening." She looked at me, and in that instant something in her broke. She touched the sides of her mask with trembling hands. "Then you must see me as I am," she whispered. And before I could stop her, she removed the mask. The reveal. Her face was unlike anything I had ever seen. Her skin shimmered, not one color but many, shifting like liquid crystal with every breath. Veins of light pulsed beneath, threads of silver and violet that seemed alive. Her features were both familiar and alien. High cheekbones, graceful lines, but her eyes, gods, her eyes. They weren't just glowing. They were galaxies, swirling with stars and voids, endless and terrible and beautiful all at once. But more than her beauty was the pain etched into her expression. She wasn't showing me power or royalty. She was showing me vulnerability. "Can you still love me like this?" she asked, voice trembling for the first time since I met her. Outside, the hunters closed in. Alarms screamed. But all I saw was her. I reached out and touched her cheek, feeling warmth, light, and something alive beneath my fingers. "Leora," I said, "I loved you before I saw your face. And I'll love you long after." Something flickered in her eyes. Hope, fragile and fierce. She smiled, and for a heartbeat, I thought the galaxy could end and I wouldn't care. But the fight wasn't over. Climax. With her mask gone, Leora did something extraordinary. She closed her eyes, and the threads of light beneath her skin blazed brighter. The cockpit hummed with strange frequencies. I felt pressure in my skull, vibrations in my bones. "Hold the ship steady," she said. I obeyed, though my hands shook on the controls. Leora extended her hands toward the viewport, and light burst from her body, weaving through the Peregrine systems. The ship groaned, then roared as if infused with new life. The engines surged with impossible power, the shields flared like suns, and in one breathtaking move we turned the tide. The hunters fired, but their shots dissipated against our shields. I wove through them, and with Leora guiding, the Peregrine struck back. Energy arcs leapt from the hull, slicing through enemy ships. One exploded, then another. The third tried to flee, but Leora's voice rang out in a language older than stars, and their ships simply unraveled into dust. When the silence returned, I turned to her. She looked exhausted, her crystalline skin dimmer, but she was smiling faintly. "You weren't supposed to see this," she murmured. "Then I'm glad I did," I replied. Ending. After that day, everything changed. Leora no longer hid from me. She walked the ship unmasked, her true form shining softly in the dim corridors. At first, I was startled every time I saw her, like seeing the cosmos wrapped in human shape. But soon it became normal, familiar, beautiful. We grew closer, bound not just by survival but by something deeper. She taught me her songs, and I taught her the crude humor of humans. She showed me constellations through her eyes, and I showed her how to fix a reactor with nothing but tape and stubbornness. One night, as we drifted beyond the rim, she stood beside me at the viewport.